So sitting on your mat, I want you to take a couple deep breaths in up high in the rib cage. Shoulders shrug down, lengthen the back of the neck, pull the belly in, pull up on the pelvic floor, fill the rib cage, and then exhale, forcing every ounce of air out of the lungs. We'll just do 2 more breaths, trying to grow taller, lengthening your spine. Draw the navel in, roll the shoulders down and back. After that last exhale, I want you to reach your arms up to the ceiling for another deep breath, and then fold forward into your legs. And pull yourself in for a deep stretch. You can release a little bit if you need to, but then try to sink in a little deeper into those legs. Do 1 more deep breath. On your exhale, pull in a little deeper, and then come all the way back up. Just keep 1 leg straight, and 1 leg is gonna bend. So either one, we'll do either side. Sit as tall as you can. The kicking leg is gonna kick up, bend, and do 1 more and hold it. So this is reminiscent of a tree that we do on the reformer. Walk your hands up that leg and pull the leg in. It's okay if you're just behind the knee, but try to get up as high as you can and pull the leg towards you, shoulders still shrug down. Take another deep breath, pull the leg in a little deeper. Now you're gonna keep the leg lifted as you walk down just halfway, like you're rolling back into a lounge chair, and just hold it. Stay here, still breathe, shoulders shrug down. And then walk all the way back up that leg and pull it in for another stretch. You can relax that leg down. We'll do the same thing on the other side. Notice I gotta let Andrea in here. So the opposite leg is now kicking up and bend, kick up and bend. Kick up and hold it on that third one and pull it in for a stretch. Your shoulders shrug down out of the ears. Draw the navel in. Try to flex the foot if you can to deepen the stretch. Now you're gonna walk your hands down that leg as you fall back just halfway and hold. Don't grip into the neck, still pull the belly in. Walk back up that leg and pull it in for another stretch. I'll bend the knee to release. So this one, we're gonna keep that same leg you were just working with, keep it bent, but drop it to the floor. Sit up tall and twist towards the bent leg. Think bringing the air out of the lungs too. With each exhale, you're twisting a little further. Try to grow taller. And we're gonna stay in this position with the legs, but fold into your straight leg now. So continue to look at the bent knee and just fold into the straight leg. Remember to keep breathing. Shoulders are still shrugging down out of the ears. When you come back up, we're gonna do that same seated twist on the other side. So lengthen the leg, bend the opposite, sit tall, and then twist towards the bent leg. Try not to grip into the neck. You do want to grow taller, twist a little further. Remember to continue to pull up on the pelvic floor. And when you're ready, you're going to fold into the straight leg for that stretch in the low back. Try to flex the foot to deepen the stretch and lean down a little deeper. And then come all the way back up to seated. So sit with your knees bent and your feet flat on the floor. If you have a ball with you, grab onto that ball and put it between your knees. If you don't, that's fine. Just keep knees right in line with your hips. Your feet are going to stay on the floor. We're going to do a slow roll down. If you don't need the hands, keep the arms reaching. But if you need to, you can use your hands behind the legs to help get you down to the floor. But tuck your tailbone. It's a real slow roll down. Tucking the tailbone under the whole time. Draw the navel in. Trying to roll down 1 vertebrae at a time. And then when you're ready, finish with head and shoulders down to the floor. So your knees bent and your feet flat, hands are down by your side. We're just gonna do a couple pelvic tilts as you're squeezing that ball. If you have it, squeeze it. Excuse me, and then rock the pelvis back, and then rock the pelvis forward. Rocking back into an imprint, rocking forward, and feel that arch, that space behind your low back and the mat. Do 1 more, rocking forward. Rock back into the imprint and hold it. So every vertebrae is pressing down, your abs are tight and pulled in, you're squeezing the ball, you're pressing the toes to the floor, and now we're gonna lift up to your bridge. So lift the hips up, still squeeze that ball if you have it, and then slowly roll the spine right back down into the imprint. We're gonna do it again. Take a deep breath, exhale, lifting the hips. Hold at the top, and then slowly rolling down. Keep squeezing the ball if you have it. Still pull up on the pelvic floor regardless. After you roll back down on that last bridge, we're going to keep the ball where it is if you have it. If you don't have the ball, you can just keep your thighs parallel. 1 leg, either one is going to extend. So keep that leg long and straight. We're going to do 3 bridges just on the single leg. So same thing for your spine, peeling up 1 vertebrae up at a time and then rolling down 1 at a time. Take a deep breath on the floor. Exhale, lifting the hips. Hold at the top for breath, and then rolling back down. We'll do one more. Lifting up the hips, and then rolling all the way back down. Rest on the foot, so we switch. Still squeeze that ball if you have it. Pull up on the pelvic floor and lift the hips. Coming up into that single leg bridge is a lot harder, makes that lower leg work harder. Lifting the hips on the exhale. Stay at the top for a deep breath, and then exhale, rolling back down. We'll do one more. Hold at the top, deep breath, and then rolling all the way back down. So go ahead and get rid of the ball for a moment. We're gonna just do a hip stretch. Cross one ankle over the opposite knee and pull it into your chest for a stretch. We'll do the same thing on the other side. Pulling it in. And we're gonna go into some leg circles. So after you uncross your legs, lengthen one leg down onto the floor, the other leg goes straight to the ceiling. You can keep that leg on the floor bent though if that felt better. We're gonna start circling that lifted leg, roll into the hip. Try to draw the biggest circle possible without moving the pelvis. Remember, drawing the navel in, pressing the back of the shoulders down, lengthening the back of the neck, and always think longer, stronger legs. Inhale as you start, exhale as you finish. One more in this direction, and then hold that leg still at center, flex both feet and go in the opposite direction. Reaching out through the heels. Again, try not to move anything in the upper body, and make sure you're not gripping up into your neck. Inhale as you start the circle, exhale as you finish. Keeping the pelvis stable, so if you need to, you could always put your hands on your hips to feel the pelvis staying stable. Otherwise, with those arms by your side, press them into the mat. Bring that leg to the ceiling and hold it there, and then we'll do a hamstring stretch. So keep the leg straight and just pull it towards you for a stretch. We're going to do the same set of circles on the other leg. So keep the lower leg on the floor, tight and strong, and then start your circle. Either direction is fine. Pointed foot, reach into the toes. Inhale as you start, exhale as you finish. Think about lengthening your spine. So as you lengthen the back of the neck, the chin gets a little closer to your chest. Keep pressing the arms into the floor. Hold the leg at center, flex both feet, and go in the opposite direction. Always think narrowing the waistline. Think longer legs too. That lower leg is still a working leg. Grab on and pull it in for a stretch. And we're going to use that ball between your knees again. And if you prefer to use the ring, you could always use the ring. The fitness ring will go between your ankles. So with the ball between the knees, we're going to do toe taps. With the legs start at tabletop position, find your neutral. Neutral is where you have that natural curve in the low back, hip bones and boot bone on the same plane, and then we're just moving through the hip joint, hopefully not moving anything in the lumbar spine or your pelvis. So if you don't have a ball, it's okay to keep the knees right in line with your hips and do that same motion down and up. Press the shoulders to the floor. Pay attention to the low back. The lumbar spine should not be changing from the start position as the legs go down and up. Squeeze the ball tighter, pull up on the pelvic floor, press the shoulders down to the floor. Now just to make it harder, you're gonna lower the feet down, but don't let them actually touch the floor, and then hold. Still squeeze the ball, draw the navel in, keep those feet just hovering off the mat, and then bring them right back up to tabletop. So we're gonna go into the 100. Remember the 100, you can just maintain tabletop legs the whole time, but if you can work harder, move that ball to your ankles. If you have a ring, just keep it there between your ankles. We're gonna go into the 100. Curl up, look into the belly, lengthen legs out to straight if you can, and then start pumping the arms. Inhaling for 5, exhaling for 5. Using the upper back to shrug the shoulders down. Try to curl up the whole time if you can, but if you need to, you can always put your head and shoulders on the floor. Squeeze that ball or ring a little tighter, always pulling up on the pelvic floor. Think about longer, straighter legs too. Inhaling for 5, exhaling for 5.
On the exhale, you're forcing every ounce of air out of the lungs. Curl up a little bit higher. Try to get the legs a little lower. This is your last 10 count. Now after you exhale, hold everything still. Curl up higher, reach longer arms, and then you can bring it back in. So grab onto that ball or ring and hold it between your hands. Your legs are gonna be down onto the floor. We're gonna do roll up. If you need to modify this, you could always do bent legs and walk your hands up the legs, or you could start seated. Arms are straight, squeezing the ball or ring, bring head and shoulders up and come all the way up and stretch out over the legs. Stack your spine up to straight and then rolling back down. All the way down to the floor, arms to the ceiling, take a deep breath in. Exhale as you peel up, stretching out over the legs and then stacking back up to tall. Rolling down slow, one vertebrae at a time. If you have a ball or ring in your hand, squeeze it a little tighter. Otherwise, just keep those arms long and reaching. Try to stretch out over the legs a little more. Stacking up and then rolling back down. You have one more. Good, stretch a little further if you can. After you get back down to the floor, we're gonna stay on the floor. Get rid of the ball or ring because we're gonna go into our ab series now. It's the 5 exercises in a row. Take breaks if you need it. Remember, you can do the whole series with your head and shoulders staying on the floor. If you can, curl up, look into the belly. The legs are lifted at tabletop position. And then you're gonna hug one knee into your chest, other leg lengthens out to straight, and then switch. When that leg lengthens, think force in air out of the lungs, hugging that bent knee into your chest. But don't grip into your neck. Make sure you're staying curled up, looking into the belly. One more on each side, and then you're gonna glue the legs together. Stay curled up if you can. Both legs reach forward, your arms extend back, and then come back to center. Inhale as you open, exhale, pull back in. Roll the shoulders down and back, out of the ears. Make sure when those legs extend forward, you're squeezing the glutes, giving yourself enough time too to fully extend the arms and legs. We'll do our last one. Then you're gonna go right into your scissor kicks. One leg to the ceiling, one leg falls to the floor, and then switch. Every time you exhale, pull that leg in as deeply as possible. You can deepen this, sorry, I should make it a little bit harder if you can, by reaching your arms parallel to the floor. If you wanted to get a deeper stretch in the back of the legs, you can do this with flexed feet. So those are just extra little challenges, trying to stay curled up using your abs instead of using those arms to pull the leg in. Now bring both legs together at the ceiling and you're gonna point the feet. Rest down head and shoulders and really press the arms down into the mat. Both legs are gonna lower and lift. This could be real short range of motion, or if you have that core strength, get the legs really low as long as you're not feeling stress in the low back. You also have to maintain the same position of your pelvis and the lumbar spine as the legs are going down and up. So this is only a movement in your hip joint. Try to get those legs longer and straighter. Use your breath too to help you get through it. We'll do our last lower and lift. When you bring those legs back up to the ceiling, bend the legs to tabletop, fingers laced together behind your head and curl up, look into the belly. Twist towards the bent leg, opposite leg reaches long, and then you switch. Now remember that flexion is optional. You can just keep head and shoulders on the floor and do the leg motions. But if you can, really try to twist, bringing your armpit towards the knee. Really lengthen that leg out too, reaching out of the hip. You can do one more on each side, and then when you come back to center, you get to finally rest. Lengthen the legs down to the floor, make sure they're straight, and then reach your arms way back overhead. So just on a long stretch here, lifting the rib cage too, so you stretch to your abdomen. And then bring the hands back down by your side. We're gonna go into another set of bridging, but we're gonna add the kicks to it, like we always do. So feet are flat on the floor, rock your pelvis back so you're in the imprint. If you want to, you could put the roller underneath your feet to really make the hamstrings and calves work a little harder, only if you want to. Otherwise, keep your feet flat on the floor. So lead with the tailbone and lift your hips up. So you come up onto your shoulder blades and then hold it. Keeping the hips up high, you're kicking one leg to the ceiling. Bring it back down, do the same thing on the other side. Keep pressing the arms into the floor. Try to get those hips up a little bit higher if you can. Give yourself enough time to fully extend that leg up to straight too. Now kick one leg to the ceiling and hold it there. Either leg is fine. Keep this leg straight. You're gonna lower it halfway, kick it back up to the ceiling. Lower and lift. It's hard to maintain the bridge, so keep those hips up. Don't let them gradually fall. One more, lower and lift. Then you're gonna rest down the foot, keep the hips up. Same thing on the other side. So kick that leg long and straight. Keep it straight as you lower and lift. Keep the hips up high. Only lowering that straight leg halfway, kicking it back up to the ceiling. Do your last one. Then rest on the foot. So both feet are on the floor or your roller. Take a deep breath and then slowly roll the spine back down until you rest. Now lengthen your legs down to straight. Even if that roller is underneath your feet, just lengthen the legs and that can be right underneath your ankles. Otherwise, legs are on the floor. We're gonna do a roll up again like we did before. So if you needed to, you could just hug your knees into your chest and rock yourself up. But if you can, slow roll up, head and shoulders come up and stretch all the way out over the legs. Stack up to straight. We are gonna get rid of that roller if you have it. And legs are just gonna be straight out in front of you. You can do little tiny lifts with either leg, so we're gonna do both sides. You could just sit here with your arms being lazy, or you could squeeze your ball or ring. Arms are out in front of you, shoulders roll down. If you have that ring or ball, squeeze as tight as possible, and then one leg is gonna do little lifts. Pull the belly in, roll the shoulders down and back. I did forget to let you know that you could do little weights in your hands or the band. Catherine reminded me of the band there. You're pulling it apart. Try to grow taller. And we're gonna switch, same thing on the other side. Try not to lean back. Keep pressing hard into that ring or ball, making those arms work harder. Draw the navel in deeper. Now drop the legs. We're gonna do the same thing with a turnout. So now your feet are in a V. Still grow tall and straight, and then that opposite leg lifts again. Imagine you're wearing that tight belt around your waist. So keep that turnout in your hips. Try not to recline back. Go ahead and switch to the other leg, keeping the turnout, little lifts. Draw the navel in deeper. Keep pressing into the ring. And then you can go ahead, drop the leg, turn your feet back to parallel, sort of spine twist. So you could just do reaching arms. If you reach your arms without holding anything, you want to just kind of open up and reach one arm behind you. If you have that band, ring, or ball, you can keep that in your hands. Exhale when you twist. Think twisting your spine as far as you can. Always trying to improve your posture, grow taller. Now your sit bones are staying in the same spot on the mat. Your ankles are staying next to each other, so this twist is only in your waist. Nothing's happening in your hips. Finish this last one, and then when you come back to center, you can go ahead and get rid of your ring or ball. You can use it on the side bends if you want. Otherwise, I'm going to try to get you to do a harder version. When you come over onto your side leg series, you're on your side, down the center of your mat. An easier option is what I always give you is to move the legs forward at a slight angle to help with balance. Today, we're going to try to make it harder and draw yourself back to a straight line, only if you can. So with this lower elbow, it's right in line down the center of your mat, and you're going to try to prop yourself up onto your elbow. So we're challenging our balance here. If you hate this, go ahead and press the hand into that ring, and that kind of helps, prevents you from swaying. It also makes the top arm work harder. So if you want, you can do this, pressing into a ring or ball, or just keeping the hand on the floor. Another option too, if this bugs your shoulder or your elbow, you could just prop up onto the elbow. You can go all the way down to the floor too if you want. It's a little harder with this smaller base here that you have to balance on in your elbow. Still pull the belly in. Now keep the leg at hip height and draw small circles. Roll the shoulders down and back. Still breathing. Think longer leg. Flex the foot and go in the opposite direction. Reaching out through the heel. Try not to grip into your neck, so be aware of that lower shoulder. Hold the foot flexed, hold the leg at hip height, you're swinging the leg forward and back. Now the lower leg is still a tight, strong working leg. You'll notice that those legs, that lower leg, your anchor, in line with your body, it makes it so much harder to not sway your upper body. To add to the coordination, flex that foot on the forward kick and then point the foot as you go back. Try to stay strong and stable. Do 2 more kicks. Pull the belly in deeper. And then when you bring the leg right back to center, you're gonna lay all the way down to your side. When we're all the way down, you're gonna lengthen that lower arm long, and it's gonna end up lifting up with you. That just adds to the challenge. So if you don't want to, you can just keep your head down onto the arm. You can bend it and use it more neck support if you want. Otherwise, reach it long. Top hand is gonna be on the floor for now, and we're gonna be lifting up. So we're still in a straight, long line down your mat. You're gonna lift the lower ribs and the legs. So you lift where it looks like you're in a little side bend, and then you rest back down. So hopefully you get that lower arm, head, trying to lift the rib cage, and both legs are all lifting. If you hate that, just lift the legs. You don't have to move the upper body, you can keep it down. Exhale when you lift, inhale, you lower. That's good, squeezing the legs together, reaching through the toes. Still think long line through your spine, even when we're laterally flexing it. You have 2 more. Last one's the hardest. Lift up and hold it if you can and stay there. Now just the top leg moves. Try to stay lifted, still breathing. Do 1 more, just moving the top leg, and then you can rest back down. Now we're gonna go around to the other side. I always think, what did we just do? So we're down the center of your mat, lined up. Remember, you could always bring the legs forward slightly at an angle to help with the balance. You can keep that top hand on the floor. You could press it in the ball or ring. Your harder challenge is to balance on the lower elbow, and then we're pointing and flexing as you're lifting and lowering the top leg. Remember, if this ever bothers your shoulders or the elbow, you can rest down, prop yourself up onto the elbow, or go all the way down to the floor. Either one is fine. And then the top hand, you can press into the ring or the ball, or just keep it behind your head. Hold the leg at hip height and draw small circles. And we're reaching through the toes. Pull the belly in. Trying so hard not to grip into your neck. Remember, that lower leg is still a working leg. Flex the foot and go in the opposite direction. Think reaching out of the hip socket, making that leg longer. Hopefully you're still breathing. Deep breath up high in the rib cage. Hold the leg at hip height, flexed foot still, because you're going to swing the leg forward and back. And you are moving slow with control so that we're not moving the upper body. Try not to sway the upper body. Narrow the waistline. Keep that lower leg tight and strong. Flexing forward, pointing as you go back. You have 1 more forward kick, last kick back, and then bring the legs together. Now you're down the center of your mat still, so if the legs were forward, move them back. You're gonna lay all the way down to that lower arm, but the lower arm is straight, top hand is on the floor in front of you. We're gonna lift the rib cage and the legs, and then rest back down. Exhale as you lift. Squeezing the inner thighs together. Good. Roll the shoulders down and back. Remember, you could just keep your head down on the arm if you didn't want to try to lift up that shoulder off the floor. Squeeze the inner thighs together. Let's try to lift and hold it if you can, and then just move the top leg. Try to stay in the bend. Try to get those legs up. Hopefully you're still breathing. You have 1 more, moving that top leg, and then you can rest down. Now flip onto your belly. When you're on your belly, we're going into our swan. So your elbows are going to be tucked by your side. Ribs are down onto the floor. Legs are long, and they're about as wide as your mat.
So just start by using your back to lift the rib cage and then resting back down. Lifting the ribs and then lower. Hollow out the abdomen. Remember, your shoulders are still shrugging down. Reach those legs long, just don't let the legs lift. And hopefully you're not using the arms right now, you're just using your back to lift the rib cage up. Now lift up and hold it. Stay lifted, still breathing. Shrug your shoulders down. Take breaks if you need it. We're gonna add the legs into it. So keep your rib cage up. Now lift the legs and lower the legs. Good. For an extra challenge, try to do this with the legs together. So the heels press together as you go up and down. There you go. Lift and hold it, and we'll might as well just do those beats because I saw some doing the beats. So now you open, close, tap the heels together. Draw the navel in deeper. Try to lift the rib cage higher, lift the legs higher. And now you're gonna open the legs, drop them down to the floor. Hands get to rest now on the mat and come all the way up for your full swan. So don't lock the elbows. Definitely do not shrug your shoulders up into your neck. And then you're gonna go all the way back down. So you always put those soft elbows, long neck, and then resting. And just listening to that low back, only lifting as far as the low back will let you come up. Hopefully you're still taking a deep breath up high in the rib cage. And rest. We'll do one more. Narrowing the waistline as you're lifting. And then you can rest. The last one you're gonna do is our swimming. So lengthen the arms and the legs. Lift everything up. Remember, you could just do the legs, you could just do the arms, but if you can, we're swimming arms and legs. So start pumping those arms up and down, legs pumping up and down, and think reaching longer limbs. Still narrowing the waistline, still breathing. Lift everything a little higher. And then you get to finally rest. Let's pick up your hips and sit back to your heels. Do your little child's pose stretch, rounding your spine. We'll do our thigh stretch next. So stand tall on your knees and you can use the ring between your hands. You can use a band, you can use a ball or weights. You could also sit if you don't want to kneel. So if you're kneeling, knees are right in line with your hips, inner thighs are engaged the whole time too. The feet can be curled under or laying flat on the mat. Either one is fine. You want that straight long line from shoulders to knees, and you're gonna hinge back and return forward. What you don't want to happen is you sit back and then you come back up. So our body is in one stiff as a board position from shoulders to your knees. If you have that ring or ball, squeeze it a little tighter. Roll the shoulders down and back, and some have cramped up a little bit on this one. So if you need to, you can always curl the toes under. Your feet are less likely to cramp with your toes curled under. Now fall back and hold it if you can, and stay in the thigh stretch. Still stiff as a board, straight long line from shoulders to knees, still engage the inner thighs. And now we're just gonna move the arms. The arms go up and down. Don't grip into your neck. Remember to press harder into the ring. Draw the navel in deeper. Pull up on the pelvic floor. You have one more. And then you can come all the way back up. Let's come to seated. And when you're sitting, we're gonna go into teaser from the seated position. And then hopefully do some rolling like a ball. So make sure you have enough space on your mat behind you for us to eventually just go into roll like a ball. So start with the knees together, hands on the back of your thighs, and then fall back just a tiny bit so you're balancing on your hips behind the sit bones, and the legs are tabletop. So tabletop is always the modified teaser here. If you can work harder, extend the legs to straight. Shoulders shrug down out of the ears, you're drawing the navel in deeper, lift the rib cage higher. If you can, let go of the legs, but don't let the legs fall. And it's fine if they're just at tabletop position, they don't have to be straight. Still breathing, still balancing. Now you're gonna bend the legs, hands move to your shins, C-curve your spine and roll to your shoulders. Come right back up and balance. Inhale as you roll back, exhale, come back up. Good, you don't wanna go so far back that you end up on your head. We're just gonna roll into your shoulders and coming right back up. Do two more, draw the navel in deeper. And then your last one. When you're up, stay up, just rest the feet to the floor. Keep your knees together and feet are gonna press downward into the mat.
Arms are reaching out in front of you. Tuck your tailbone, fall back halfway into a C curve, and then pull right back up and try to grow tall and straight when you come up. Falling back into the C curve, draw the navel in, and then coming all the way back up. Keep pressing the feet to the floor. Keep reaching the arms long. Hollow out the abdomen. Now we're gonna add a rotation. So this time we are gonna keep those arms reaching, not holding anything. Because then you fall and you rotate, try to open up across the front of the chest and then come back up and sit tall, go to the other side. Fall back and reach, and then coming all the way back up. Glue the knees together, hollow out the abdomen. The next time, or I should say even up, hold on, I'll tell you when to hold it. The next rotation you get, we're gonna hold it. So squeeze the knees together and hang out here for a moment. So if you're twisted to the left, focus on the right side of your abdomen. Hold, reach longer arms, squeeze the knees together. Come back up, we'll go to the other side. So stay in that rotation and focus on the opposite side of the abdomen. Remember, you're still pulling up on the pelvic floor, reaching longer arms, and then you come right back up. We're gonna do another set of the rocking. So you could just get into the start position, hold it. You don't have to rock if you don't want to, because we already did some rocking, but this is open leg rocker. So your knees now as wide as your shoulders. So there's that space between them. You're gonna lift the legs up to tabletop, hands on the back of your legs. Again, modified is the tabletop. If you can, walk your hands higher and go to the straight. You're gonna roll back to your shoulders and then come right back up and balance in that start position, holding those legs long and straight. Inhale as you roll back, exhale, come up, and then hold it. Draw the navel in deeper. Remember, you could just hold the start position. And you're being aware of those legs too, because they want to jerk really far apart, but don't let them. You want to keep knees right in line with your shoulders. Try and do one or two more. I think I can only handle one more. And then when you come back up, you can finally rest back down and let the legs take a break. We're going into mermaid. So mermaid, turn and face towards the long edge of your mat. We're going to sit in a Z-sit. You could always sit with your legs just straight out in front of you or crossed in style if that felt better in your hips. Legs straight for the knees. But sit in the Z-sit if you can. Pay attention where your hips are, and then we're gonna stay in this position as we fall over and stretch. We're stretching away from the legs, come back up, and stretch in the opposite direction. Fall over, shoulders shrug down, breathe into the rib cage, and then coming back up. Now we're gonna fall over and add the twist. So fall, hold, twist, look at the floor, twist back to face front, and then come all the way back up and stretch. Stay facing the same direction, of course, but you're gonna swing the legs to the other side. So doing our mermaid to the other side. Pay attention where your hips are and keep them in this position as you go into your side bend stretch. And over. Still take that deep breath up high in the rib cage. Shoulders are shrugging down out of the ears. On the third one, we're gonna fall over and hold it, and then twist, look at the floor, twist back to face front, and then come all the way back up and stretch. And we have our side bends next. So bring your feet to the bottom edge of the mat. The top leg is crossed in front of the lower leg, and then your hand on the floor is at the top of your mat. So we're gonna try to lift up and stretch. Remember, this lower knee can always stay on the floor for this modified version, keeping the knee down. If you can, get up into that full side bend where both legs lengthen, bending like a rainbow, and then all the way back down to the floor. And again, lifting up and stretch. Still breathe. And down. Do one more. You could always do more if you wanted to. But when you go back down, we'll go to the other side. Swinging the legs around to the other side. Make sure your top leg is in front of the lower leg. Hand is at the top of the mat. And when you're ready, lift up and stretch. Remember, you could always keep the knee on the floor if you need to. And then you just rest back down. If you can, lift up and lengthen both legs. And balance. You want at least 3 of those. Good. After you get back down to the floor, we're gonna stay down. So face towards the long edge, or sorry, short edge of your mat. Down the length of your mat, you're gonna lengthen the legs, and we're opening the legs. So you're gonna try to stretch them out as far as you can get the legs for salt. Sit up as tall as possible, lengthen your spine and reach your arms out again. You're twisting to either side, so rotate as far as you can, reaching your arms away from center, fold into that leg. Stack up while you're in the rotation and then come all the way back to face center. We're gonna go to the other side, twist, fall down and reach, and then coming all the way back up to face center. Twist, fold down, force air out of the lungs. Hopefully the legs are long and straight and you're reaching out through the heels. Keep lengthening those arms away from center. Draw the navel in deeper, stacking back up, all the way to center. Twist and folding down. This is gonna be our last one to finish up the set. Hopefully you feel evened up and you're reaching to the opposite leg that you started with, and then come all the way back up. Now you're gonna bring your hands behind you and draw the legs to center. So the hands behind you, you could just sit here, soft elbows, and lift the rib cage up and do the leg lift. But if you can, we're gonna add the plank too. So here we're doing leg pull. Lift the hips up, push the floor away, and lift your chest to the ceiling. One leg is gonna lift, lower down, lift the other leg, and lower down. Exhale as you kick that leg up. Keep pushing the floor away. Remember, you could just hold the plank. You could put your hips back to the floor and do the same leg lift. Just do one more on each side. Now we're gonna do that same exercise facing the floor. So go ahead and flip around, and you're gonna be in what looks like a plank. So hands on the floor, your legs are hopefully long and straight, but you can do this with the knees down. You could do this on the elbows if you didn't want to put all the pressure on the wrist. But if you can, do straight arms and straight legs. Lift one leg, lower down, lift the other leg, and lower down. Hollow out the abdomen. Roll the shoulders down and back. Pay attention to that upper back too. I know you can't see it, but hopefully you feel those shoulder blades spreading apart away from each other. Just do one more lift on each leg. And then you get to finally rest on your knees, sit back to your heels, go into a little child's pose stretch, lengthening the arms. Now come onto all fours. Your wrists are right underneath your shoulders and knees are underneath your hips. You're gonna curl the toes under and hopefully lift the knees up. If you want, keep the knees on the floor. They don't have to lift up. If you can, hover the knees off the floor. You can just stay here, hold. Remember, we're still pushing those shoulder blades away from each other in the upper back, and you're not letting chin drop to your chest. You want that feeling of back of the head reaching to the ceiling behind you. Now to begin, we're lifting one leg, lower down, lift the other leg, and lower down. So you're only lifting that leg as high as you can without changing the position of the pelvis. You're also being aware of that lower leg, not letting it lift higher off the floor. Hopefully you're using your breath too. Exhale as you lift, inhale as you lower. You can just do one more on each side. And then after you rest down both knees, sit back to your heels, go into another child's pose stretch. All right, we're gonna come back to seated. Seated on our hips with your legs straight. This time the legs will be just about hip width apart or mat width apart. Arms are straight out in front of you. Sit as tall as possible, and only your upper spine stretches forward. So think force air out of the lungs as you reach your upper spine, and then stack right back up and grow tall. Reaching forward, you should feel those shoulder blades spread apart away from your spine, but definitely not gripping up into your neck. Force air out. And also be aware of your pelvis. You should feel the weight on your sit bones maintaining the same position as you're going forward and stacking back up. We'll do one more. And then come all the way back up. Draw the legs closer together. Make sure you have enough room on your mat behind you, because we're gonna roll down really slow and then we're gonna hopefully go into rollovers. If you want, you can use the ball or the ring for this one. So you could just hold the ball or ring right now in your hands, and then I'll probably use the ball. And then we're gonna roll down. So hold the ball or ring in your hands and then do the slowest roll down possible to the floor. If you really want to challenge yourself, you can get to a spot and just hold it and see how long you can hold it. Draw the navel in deeper. Still breathing, trying to go down one vertebrae at a time. When you finally get your head and shoulders down onto the floor, You're gonna bring those legs up so you can put the ball or the ring between your ankles. If you don't have the ball or ring, just keep the legs together. The legs are straight to the ceiling, hands are by your side, and we're gonna start off with some preps. When we do go into rollover, you don't wanna be looking left or right when you're in that fold. So try to keep your neck in neutral, just looking straight up to the ceiling. First start by lifting the hips and then dropping the hips. So just a little lumbar spine lift and then rest. And you're squeezing the ball or ring. I do this with flex feet just because it stretches out the back of the legs a little more, also makes your quads work harder, but you could do pointed feet, either one is fine. So if you're ready to do the full, bring those legs all the way overhead with your arms still pressing downward into the floor, and then slowly roll the spine right back where it came from, but not letting head and shoulders lift off the mat. Hold those legs long and straight. Take a deep breath in, exhale, legs overhead. Hold in that rollover for a deep breath, and then exhale, rolling back down. Good, if you wanna work harder, we're gonna go into jackknife. Feel free to skip it if you don't wanna do it, but legs come overhead, jackknife up, so you're reaching your toes to the ceiling, squeezing that ball or ring, and then slowly roll down without letting head and shoulders come off the floor. So you're trying to keep those legs reaching straight up to the ceiling as you lay your spine right back down to the mat. We'll do one more if you can. Exhale, legs overhead. If you want, go ahead and jackknife up. Otherwise, you can just roll down out of the rollover. From jackknife, reach those toes up and then slowly lay your spine right back down to the floor. So bend the legs to tabletop. Whether you have the ball or the ring, you're still squeezing it, or just squeeze the legs together. Hold the legs at tabletop, press the shoulders to the floor, and we're gonna go into can-can. So tip the legs to one side, extend them to straight, bend, tip over to the other side, and extend them to straight. They're squeezing that ball or ring, or just squeezing the legs together. Make sure you give yourself enough time to fully extend those legs outward to straight while you're in that rotation. And don't let the shoulders come up off the floor. Still breathe. Don't hold in that breath. The next time you get to a rotation, you're gonna hold it. So hold the twist, extend the legs, and stay there. Hang out, keep pressing both shoulders to the floor, draw the navel in. Bend the legs, roll over to the other side, and do the same thing. Extend the legs while in the rotation, and hold. So keep your shoulders pressed into the floor, and then you can bend the legs, come right back to center. Go ahead and get rid of the ball if you have it. You just hug your knees into your chest, even rock them a little bit if you want. And then rest your feet to the floor. With the feet on the floor, your heels are lined up with your sit bones so the legs are not completely together. And you do want to walk your feet down the mat so that your toes are close to the bottom edge, giving you more space between heels and hips. So reach your arms straight to the ceiling. Feel free to grab a prop if you want to hold something in your hands. But we're going to bring head and shoulders off the floor, not doing anything with the legs. Just keep the legs how they are bent, head and shoulders come up, and try to bring yourself all the way up off the floor. Then you're going to slowly roll back down, not letting those legs move. Think about gluing your feet to the floor, pressing them down as you come all the way back up. That's good. We're going to do one more. Cramp on my leg. After you go back down to the floor, we're going to change it up a bit. Bring the legs together to tabletop, so we're working towards our teaser from the floor up. Tabletop, glue the legs together. As your spine comes up, both legs extend up to straight. It's fine if it's just the head and shoulders that come up. You don't have to bring the whole spine. And then rolling right back down to the floor. Take a deep breath in your start position. Exhale as you lift up, lengthen those legs to straight, and then slowly rolling right back down. We'll do one more. Exhale as you lift up. Holding and breathing, and then slowly rolling back down to your rest. Now for the hardest version is your legs are gonna start on the floor and straight on the mat. You can just do a single leg alternating. If you didn't wanna get both legs up, you could just lift the spine and one leg, lift the spine and one leg, and then we alternate. So for those of us that are doing the full, that means we're gonna do 4 of these, both legs glued together, head and shoulders come up, and lifting up into your teaser. Hold those legs long and straight, and then slowly fall back down to the floor. We got 3 more. If you're doing the single leg, go to the other leg. Exhale, lift. Hold and breathe, and then resting. Good. You got 2 more. Shoulders shrugged down out of the ears. Lifting up, try to get to the top and hold for a deep breath up high in the ribs. And then rest, glue the legs together. You're always got those inner thighs to work. This is our last one. Exhale as you lift. Hold to the top for breath. And then slowly resting back down. Just stay on the floor for a big stretch. Reach your arms way back overhead. Lift the rib cage and stretch through your abdomen. Now, we're doing that crescent moon stretch or banana stretch. Bend your upper body to one side of your mat and walk your ankles to that same side. And breathe into the side of your rib cage. Then we'll walk our ankles to the other side, do the same thing on the other side. When you come back to center, we're gonna roll over onto our side, either side really, and prop yourself up onto your elbow. Shoulders shrugged down out of the ears. So we're not gonna be completely on your hip. You wanna rock back a little bit. So we are in a rotation. Bring both legs bent and you're gonna lift them up to tabletop. But you're in this twisted kind of teaser holding position. And if you can, extend both legs just straight, but feel free to keep both legs bent. So you should feel like you're balancing between the sit bone and your hip bone, kind of right on your glutes. Hold this balanced position if you can. Again, do the straight legs. Just the lower leg moves. It falls to the floor, then bring it back up. Falls down and bring it up. The free hand, try to bring it in front of you instead of behind you, because then it forces you to rotate open a little bit more. So keep that hand out in front of you somewhere. Remember, you could do the bent leg too. Bent leg, that longer lever is so much harder to hold those legs long and straight the whole time. You're gonna do your last one. Hold the legs lifted, stay here and breathe. And then you can bend. We're gonna go to the other side. So you can just roll over to the other hip. I'm swinging around this way. Good, balance just behind the hip bone, right on your glutes. Push the floor away, lift the rib cage up. Remember, you could do the bent legs. Lower leg falls, bring it back up. If you can, do straight legs. Lower leg falls, bring it back up. Keep lifting the rib cage up, like you're sitting so proud. Try to get those legs long and straight if you can. Hollow out the abdomen. Bring that lower leg all the way up. Last 2. Try to get up and hold it. So keep those legs glued together, lift the rib cage higher, breathe, and then you can finally rest back down. Now you're gonna come up to seated, sit with the soles of the feet together for a stretch, knees are wide, and lean into the legs. We're gonna go into some push-ups next. We'll do another stretch to, I guess, let me catch my breath. But we're coming up onto our hands and knees. When you're on your hands and knees, this is just an opposite arm, leg, and reach, balance. So send one arm reaching long, and then the opposite leg reaches long. Hollow out the abdomen, pull the belly in. Shoulders are shrugging down out of the ears. We'll go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. So hand and knee down and then switch. Reaching longer limbs away from center. Go ahead and rest on the hand, but keep the leg long because you're doing a calf stretch. You want to flex the foot and then put the toes to the floor. So now you're just doing a calf stretch. We'll do that same stretch on the other leg. Now both legs are going to be long and straight, and we're coming into that plank. Go ahead and walk your hands to your feet, or you can walk feet to your hands and pull yourself into your legs. Tighten your abs, soften your knees, and come all the way up to standing. So stand at the back edge of your mat. We're going to go into some Pilates push-ups. Feel free to take a break here, though, if you don't want to do these. But at the back edge of your mat, with your feet parallel, reach your arms to the ceiling, round all the way down to the floor again, and then walk out to the top of your mat. Walking out to the top, you're going to hold, and we're going to try to do at least 6 push-ups. Feel free to do more. Exhale every time you push the floor away. And don't let chin drop to your chest. You want to keep the neck in neutral, reaching back of the head to the ceiling behind you. After that last push-up, walk your hands to your feet, pull yourself into your legs. Remember to keep the abs tight and pulled in, and come all the way back up to standing. I like to give this extra balance challenge to this next push-up if you can. Try to balance on your toes like you were in those high heel shoes, and don't let those heels touch the floor. Reach your arms up, pull the belly in, and round all the way down to the floor. Hollow out the abdomen, shoulders shrug down out of the ears. Walk all the way out to the top of your mat. Hold the plank. Feel free to take breaks here if you need it, and do at least 6 push-ups. You could just hold the plank too. Forcing air out of the lungs every time you push the floor away. You can do your last push-up, and then go ahead and walk your hands to your feet and pull yourself into legs. And remember, we got those high heel shoes on to keep your heels up. Draw the navel in, and then try to come all the way up to standing as you balance. You can go ahead and rest on your feet. So this is a stretch. One foot goes forward, one foot stays back, and you want your hip bones, like 2 head legs, pointed forward, so we're not rotating out to the side. Keep the legs straight, keep your spine straight, and just hinge forward at the hips. Hopefully feel the stretch on the back side of the forward leg. Remember, your abs are still tight and pulled in, shoulders still shrugged down. Lean the flat back a little deeper into the leg. And if you can challenge your balance, flex the front foot. Still breathing. We'll go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. Try to get that wide stance from front to back, straight legs, flat back, and lean forward. Keep drawing the navel in, rolling the shoulders down out of the ears. Lean into it a little deeper if you can. If you can challenge your balance, flex the front foot. You can come right back up. Keep your feet where they are. So this one, you could come all the way down to the floor with the back knee. Otherwise, you can keep it straight. Either one's fine. This front the front knee is going to bend, and you're just in a lunge. So while you're in this lunge, really focus on the stretch on the front side of that leg that's behind you. You could do this too with the knee on the floor. I like it with the knee on the floor. I feel like I can relax more into it. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So that back leg could be straight or bent. Sink into the lunge. Try and keep yourself squared off facing forward, so not rotating. Good. When you're ready, you can take yourself out of that. Sit however you're comfortable. Reach your arms up to the ceiling, take a deep breath, lengthen. Go ahead and grab onto one wrist and pull it to the opposite side. We'll do that same stretch to the other side. Good job. After that, keep your abs in, your shoulders down for the rest of the day.